Good afternoon to everybody. We want to first of all thank Rav Eddie and Miriam Feigelman and Dr. Michael and Linda Ellman, who from Baltimore and Yerushalayim, who are sponsoring this Dvar Torah. It's in memory of Julius Feigelman, Yehuda ben Yechiel Michael Zecher Tzadik Livracha, and it's on his 20th Yortzeit, which is actually on the 29th of Iyar. It's one day after Yom Yerushalaim. And so I've chosen to, with your permission, to speak about Yom Yerushalaim, which is going to be this coming Yom Rishon. There's two very famous principles that come from the Beit Midrash of the Gaon Mivilna and also from Rav Chaim Soloveitchik. Rav Chaim Soloveitchik and the Griz, they said that there's, in history generally, there is, when something great happens, so that great event, for better or for worse, because it has such an impact, so the day causes the people to remember that day. So it's the day that causes, so to speak, the history. But he says in Judaism, the movement is the opposite. You don't always have that the day is the cause and the memory and the history is the effect, but the day, in other words, I got it wrong, excuse me. Not the event is what caused the day and the history, but it's the day which causes the event. So the master of history has chosen certain times, Hashem has chosen certain times that they're going to be special. And because those days are special, then Hashem brings special historical events to happen on those days. So the movement is, as I say, different. We've got, for example, a tradition from the Gaon of Vilna. The Gaon of Vilna said that the period of Sfirat HaOmer, as we all know, are days of strict judgment, are days of din. And that's how actually things turned out in history, that during this period between Pesach and between Shavuot, these were the days in which there was a collapse of the Torah. The Talmidim of Rabbi Akiva passed away, and as the Gemara says, there was great darkness in the world. And the Vilna Gaon said that's okay, that's what the Gemara says, but he says that in this period of strict judgment, there will be 2 days which are free from that strict judgment, days of great salvation. And the Gaon said this, the Gaon passed away in 790, 93, 90, late 790s. The Gaon said that the Chaf of Iyar and, the 20th of the Omer and Chavchet of the Omer, Chavchet of Iyar, those will be like great, great days. We know that those were the days that correspond to Yom Ha'atzmaut and to Yom Yerushalaim. So the Gaon's telling us it's not that it's the day. Those days were days which were chosen to be great days, and because those days were, for whatever reason, we don't know Hashem, who's running the world, what He's talking about but those days were chosen as days of salvation or days of inspiration, and Hashem then brought about events that those days should be special. So let's just, if we just go back and we see what great days, great things happened on Yom Yerushalaim, on the Chavchet of Iyar. The first one is that the Milchama of Amalek, the famous battle, the first war, if we could say, that the Jewish people had as a national unit. When we came out of Egypt and now we were a nation, the first war that we made was against Amalek. And the epitome of, and what characterizes the Milchama of Amalek, it wasn't about territory, it wasn't about land. It was just a Milchama that there was between the Jewish people representing Hashem in the world and Amalek, who they were, I mean, the Jewish people were in the desert, they weren't threatening anybody. But Amalek, who now represents all those forces against HaKadosh Baruch Hu and against monotheism and against the morality of that was given to us through the Torah, that's who came and fought with Am Yisrael. And there's a very, very interesting tradition that Rav Nachum Parchovich from Mir Zeichet Tzadik Livracha says that this took place on Erev Shabbat, but Erev Shabbat on Chav Chet of Iyar, and he proves it from the piyutim that we say just before Shavuot. The second event that happened, which is significant, is that on the 28th of Iyar, that is the Yotzat of Shmuel, the last of the Nevi'im HaRishonim. Of course, afterwards there was David, and afterwards there was the others, Shlomo, Yeshayahu, v'chulei, v'chulei. But the last of the first section of Nevi'im was Shmuel. And Shmuel was, what was he known for? He was known for having established the kingdom, in other words, having anointed both Shaul and David, and teaching David all the laws of the Beit HaMikdash. So these two events, the events of and the others, but these two events of Chav Chet Iyar. Number one, that the Milchama of those nations which Amalek, which are fighting against Hashem. And also that of the Yotzad of Shmuel, who consecrated and dedicated the kings and taught them the laws of Beit HaMikdash. That was exactly what Yerushalayim's about. Yerushalayim is Ira Kodesh, that is connected and parallels the we always say about in the davening with Yerushalayim, Ircha Barachamim Tashuv, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu should come back to his land. My rabbi used to always say, called Yerushalayim DC. He used to call it Yerushalayim DC, the divine city. It's actually Hashem's city. And then the second part, the aspect of that Yerushalayim is called Ir Melucha, right? The city of the seat of Hashem's Malchut, of His kingdom. That's what we say in the Lecha Dodi. So these are the aspects which are so special on Yom Yerushalaim. And we daven that, especially this Yom Yerushalaim, there's so much to daven on Yom Yerushalaim. But as we say in the davening, V'techezana eineinu b'shuvacha l'tzion b'rachamim. Why do we add on the rachamim? Because the Geula, the salvation that Hashem can bring us, it can bring us in many ways. We're not balabatim to say how Hashem should bring about the Geula. So we daven to Hashem that the Yeshua, that we should merit to see that Hashem returns to Shalayim and to Tzion, berachamim, that it should be a Geula, a dafkar of mercy. And I want to end off with a very interesting, pshat that I once heard from Rav Eliyahu, Zeichet Tzadik Livracha, the chief rabbi of Israel, Rav Mordechai Eliyahu Zatzal. He once said like this, that the Gemara, Masechet Sotah, says as follows, that Hashem cannot dwell with a person who is arrogant and conceited. That's the one statement in the Gemara. On the other hand, the Midrashim, the Gemarot, and the Midrashim say that Lo Zaza Shechina Mikotel Arabi. It says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, his main Shechina, went up in heaven at the time of the destruction of the temple, but there was always a little bit of the Shechina, the divine presence, that never ever left Yerushalayim, but always remained there by the Kotel HaMaravi. And that's why the Rambam says that that the Kedusha of Yerushalayim is not like the Kedusha of Eretz Yisrael. It's not because of conquering or anything, but it's because the Shechina never totally left the confines of Yerushalayim, the Beit, the Mikdash, and the Kotel Maravi. So Rav Eliyahu used to say, you know what, if we want to be filled with humility, we want to be filled with hitbatlut, in other words, negating ourselves and the ratzon to do the ratzon of Hashem. So what is the solution? On the one hand, Hashem isn't with an arrogant person. On the other hand, Hashem never leaves the confines of the Kotel. So what should we do? Go to the Kotel. There Hashem's not leaving. So then willy-nilly, he will cause a person who's coming to the Kotel to have a sense of humility, a sense of modesty, a sense of non-ego, a sense of being over here in this place. This is where all the levavot, all the hearts of Am Yisrael come together, all in Avodat Beit HaMikdash. So, Chag Sameach, Yom Yerushalaim Sameach lekulam.